Welcome, everybody, to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Steve Kiyama. I'm the owner of Action Coach Western Fairfax. Today, we're going to speak with Matt Pescador, and we are going to ask him about his business and his journey in leadership in businesses, some of the challenges, best practices, and share a peek into what it's really like to build and operate a business. So if this is your first time with us, then please be sure to like and subscribe to get notifications when we drop new conversations just like this one. So Matt, welcome. Thank you for being here with us today. Would you please give us a brief overview of your business and a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Thanks for the introduction, Steve. Is it okay that I call you Steve or do you go by
No,
Steven?
Steve's perfect.
I'm Matt Pescador, as you said. I'm the CEO of Alkus North America. What Alkus is a solid plastic panel that replaces plywood, essentially. And it is used in millions and millions and millions of square feet of wall forming and shoring equipment to build concrete buildings, dams, bridges, high rises, you name it. So the idea behind Alkus came about 24 years ago from a company in Germany who was already producing, or they were already making their own formwork and renting it to these concrete subcontractors who were doing this type of work. And because this company was buying plywood, every year, and we're not talking about small amounts, we're talking about millions of dollars every single year
Mhm.
to replace the facing on this concrete formwork. This individual decided, I'm going to make something that's going to last longer than a year or a year and a half. And in stepped Alkus. So we've been in business 24 years. We're in 23 countries around the world where we sell this solid plastic panel insert to concrete forming and shoring companies, contractors, rental companies, producers, distributors, and the panel can last up to 20 years. Just to put it in perspective, a normal wood panel that's put in these formwork will last approximately 30 pours, 40 pours at the most, and the Alkus solid plastic panel can last 1,500 or more pours. So
Wow.
as you can see, it's a 50-fold return on your ability if you were to buy plywood over buying this solid plastic panel. Not to mention the finish of the concrete that's achieved by using this solid plastic panel is it's second to none. So how did I get into this industry? Well, I was I was in the military for 20 years. I was a pilot for most of that time. And then when I retired in 2017, I was looking for something new to do, something that was a kind of outside of flying. And I started working in the forming and shoring equipment rental business. And I was a project manager. I was a sales rep. I was a regional business development manager. I was a regional director of operations and sales. And then I finally rose to the national director of sales for one of the largest forming and shoring rental companies in the world. And that gave me a segue into Alkus, and that's what we do.
Awesome, awesome. I was going to ask you the question of why would a customer choose your products, but I think I'm going to flip that question around. Why would
Sure.
the customer choose something else with those kinds of with that track record of benefits?
That's a great question, and I think that's the appropriate and right. Your intuition is spot on. It's a simple. I mean, if you look at the lifetime cost and cost recapture of switching over, obviously our solid plastic panels, which are made of polypropylene, they're going to cost more,
Mm.
right? And on average, they cost 3 to 3.5 times more than plywood. However, it's an easy calculation to figure out. Well, if I've got to replace the plywood 3 times, how long does that take me? In an average company, that's about 5 years. So the cost recapture is done from year one by year 5. So if
Okay.
you outlay the money in year 1, by year 5, now you're printing money for the next 15 years.
Okay.
It's an easy cost benefit analysis. And I do it all the time. I give it to mostly to the CEOs and CFOs of the larger companies.
Yep.
The question is, why not? Why
Yeah.
are they not doing this? The construction industry has a long history of using wood.
Uh-huh.
And not only have they have a long history of using wood, the vast majority of the large manufacturers who sell forming and shoring equipment, they have relationships with lumber yards and with plywood companies. Even more so, some of these companies started as plywood companies, so they sell internally to themselves, if that
Mm.
makes sense. Now they're faced with one of those questions. I know that this is going to recapture my costs and I'm going to save money and then thereby have more bottom line fall through. I'm going to be I'll have higher quality returns on my investment if I just do this.
Yeah.
And but then the problem is, okay, so do I shut down my plywood division who does, there's a, I'm not going to say the name of the company, but there's a company in Europe that started as a plywood company and now they're one of the largest producers of forming and shoring equipment in the world.
Uh,
And we're talking about these companies, we're talking it's in the billions of dollars a
mm-hmm.
year just in the United States in terms of rental and sales,
Mm-hmm.
right, of this equipment. They sell 80 to 90 million dollars a year of plywood out of their division to themselves as well as to subcontractors. That
So,
becomes the sticky point is, how do you sundown a part of your company to make another part of your company have healthier EBITDA or
so,
EBIT or whatever, however you want to phrase it.
so it's a complicated investment question for a lot of these bigger companies.
It absolutely is, and so that has led us to a strategy of we know we cannot flood the market immediately. And
Mm.
I said 24 years ago the company was formed, but realized that in the United States it was incorporated. I want to say was incorporated, I think, in 2017,
Okay.
and then was here in the U.S. as some sort of an entity in 2012. And I'm going to double check that, and I'll shoot you an email to just confirm it.
Super, super,
You don't want to
super.
put out that the wrong stuff. So you realize that their strategy in North America is still forming and developing, and that's one of the reasons that I was brought on board because I have firsthand knowledge of one of the primary customers because I used to run their entire sales division. So I understand the 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 hesitancy to make the switch, and the other hesitancy is let's say if you're operating one of the business units, they're incentivized on generally quarterly, but sometimes annually on their net income, right? They get a certain percentage of their bonus based upon what their net income is going to be or what their EBITDA is, which is what we used in my previous company. So what you're asking them to do is, hey, you've got to pull money out of your bottom line to invest in this equipment, and then as a result, you're going to get paid back, in year 4 or 5. That's a problem because you're asking the person to forego any hope of a bonus that year to pull it out of the bottom line. So what I have been communicating to CFOs and CEOs is you can't look at it as an expense. Plywood is an expense because it only lasts for a year or a year and a half. That makes sense that you're going to expense that the moment you buy it. But when you buy Alkus, the panel itself is not it's not an expense, it is investment.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's an investment, you should be putting it on the balance sheet and depreciating it, right? And as
Mm.
a result, you should be capitalizing that expense,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So that you're now taking a company, and if you spend $1 million on these panels, now your company is going to be worth now $1 million more. You
Mm-hmm.
took the money out of owner's equity. I get it, to buy the stuff as a capital purchase, but you now have a company that's worth more. You're not hurting the shareholders by buying just stuff that you expense, and it's a one-time expense.
You're
And
just
now you can depreciate
shifting
over time.
around the balance sheet.
Exactly. And not to go too deep into it, but those types of discussions require the right players in the room who can actually understand the implications of pulling the levers and twisting and tuning the dials of the business. And it's a blast to have them, but they're not easy discussion points. And so that's why, why not? Well, that's
Yeah. You just made one of the most awesome cases I've ever heard for understanding your customers' real um, needs and understanding how they accrue benefits from purchasing your product. That is one of the best descriptions of understanding a complex version of that situation. That's fantastic, and I love that. Thank you.
Well, I'll give a shout. Thank you. Thanks for the comment, Stephen. And I'll give a shout out then to the UW. That's University of Washington, UW, out in Seattle. That's where I got my MBA from, and I feel that they really prepared me
Hmm.
for the position that I'm in, because they don't. You go to business school, you're not prepared for anything day one.
Correct.
But you get a few years behind your belt, and you get you matriculate in business up to a certain level, and then all those things that you learn in business school, they start popping, and you're like, oh, now I understand what they were saying.
Why
And
that
that's
was important.
exactly, and that's what's
Hmm.
given me the ability to articulate it right now, for you and the audience, what it is that I'm trying to communicate, or what's the value proposition that Alkus wants to bring, and what's their value that they're going to incorporate in their company in doing so.
Yeah, fantastic, fantastic. That kind of opens up a question in a different way also. What kind of a marketing strategy works to get you in front of the people that you need to be in front of for this kind of a product, this kind of a situation?
That is the best question of the day. Well, the last question was the proverbial best question, but this
Yeah.
this one really tops it.
Hmm.
And it's a multi-factor, multi-answer response that I'll try to just do as quick as I can. And that is that the marketing efforts have to be from into the top. They have to be in the middle, and they have to be at the bottom. And what I mean by that is, and now with the way that technology has changed, right? Something like what we're doing right here, your what you're bringing, in terms of these types of conversations. This is not, 10 years ago we wouldn't have this. This phone is flipping down. Sorry about that. There we go. I was like, why am I getting farther away? So this audience would be more for, I would say, the senior manager all the way up to the CEO type roles, who are interested in these types of discussions.
Hmm.
And that really rings true with me. So this is a good marketing tool. But the other side of it is that there still is this a need to be able to bring brochures to offices, project managers, and even foremen and superintendents who are on the job sites, because they need something in their hand. Like sending them an email. I mean, these guys and gals, they're out there building these buildings that range from 100 million to $1 billion. Right here in Reston. I mean,
Hmm.
you've got multi-billion-dollar projects between Reston Station and phase 2 of Town Center. And so those people are on the job site. You can't market to them the way that you would market, let's say, to the CEOs, CFOs, and
Yeah.
senior directors, because it doesn't resonate with them.
Right.
Um, and then I would say the third factor of that, or the third part of that, would be that we attend trade shows, and we provide demonstrations for potential clients and customers, because it's not, the market that we're selling to it's massive and massive upon massive in size. And so we don't really even know everybody out there that has the potential fit for us, not to be able to fit the panels into their formwork. And so that's the other part of the marketing kind of engagement that we do. And we have a director of marketing who puts these things together. But I'll be honest with you, it's really we're trying everything. To say it's targeted, I think that would be being too fair to me and too
Yeah.
fair to my business development manager that we were actually targeting our market with marketing. What we do is, like, for example, a couple of weeks ago, we visited one of our partners in Southern California, and I just took pictures with my phone. And then I sent it to the marketing director and I asked her, hey, when you get a chance, can you do a narrative? This is who we were meeting with. This is what we were doing in these photos so you could caption them. Can you just make a press release on LinkedIn so that people know that we're out and about doing stuff? Now, that's a very dynamic way of doing it, but by no means is that targeted. That's on the fly, a targeted opportunity. We do it then and there. So hopefully that answers your question. But as you see, it's multi-pronged going into every place that we can. But to say that there's an actual strategic plan for it, no, I don't believe that we have that yet.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. You've got to have CEOs and CFOs of big companies making big dollar decisions, and that's all nice and good. But you got to have a foreman on a job site that it really understands how it's going to make his life better too. Because
Absolutely.
they can sit down and say, "Hey, wait a minute, no, we can't do that if you don't have the right communication tools for that group of people as well."
Absolutely. And I mean, before the call, we got to know each other. And one of the things that I'll tell you is that the good businesses out there that listen to the people on the line that are doing the preponderance of the work, the real work, right? I always like to say I don't do any work in a day. I just make
Yeah.
decisions and sign stuff. So I'm not really working anymore, although the days can be long. But not listening to the people that are out there that are building these magnificent structures that
Yeah.
engineers are designing even more and more difficult to build,
Yeah.
and engineers are having to make all these calculations so that the building withstands the test of time. Not asking them is criminal
Yeah.
because they know how to get the work done. So it has to be, you have to pull and you have to push at the same time, and then you also have to go right up the middle. So everybody's kind of be involved in this decision. Is this the right decision? And the best businesses I've seen out there, they listen to what the foreman and the superintendents say because they're the ones that are going to make their companies maintain profitability, in perpetuity. And so, and I would be remiss if I didn't target them. And I don't like the word target, but I didn't include them into this discussion because they're the biggest stakeholders. They got to use the stuff,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yes.
So that's how it has to be done.
Yeah. Fantastic. Fantastic. Pivoting from that, where do you see the business going in the next 3 to 5 years?
Wow. Um, I see Alkus. I believe that when people say formwork panels, they'll say Alkus panels. They won't say
Mm,
plastic. They won't say plywood. It'll be a word that'll be synonymous with this is what goes in these their metal or aluminum frames that they clamp together from the
hmm.
back. But these panels will be everywhere, and they'll say even if they're talking about wood, even if they're on a job site that uses maybe some other, because there are competitors in the market who are trying to, get some market share, they'll still call them Alkus. That's where I see the business in 3 years, 3 to 5 years, and I see um, somewhere in the neighborhood of a 20x increase in top line because
Awesome.
it's just now getting started, and once it takes off, it will be those issues that you hear about. Is like, well, how do we get big this quick and keep it
Yeah.
together without the wheels flying off the bus?
Getting big quick is one thing. Getting big quick and staying big is a second thing.
That's right. That is right.
Awesome. Awesome. So when we think about growing businesses, and you've just kind of laid out a really good outline, um, building a team seems like a pretty important piece of that. How would you describe, and I think you've inferred some clues, but how would you describe your leadership style? And do you think it's changed over the years?
I'll answer the last one first. Yeah, it's changed big time.
Yeah.
Uh, what did I say when we were talking earlier? Is that the older I get, the more I realize how much I don't know.
Yeah.
And
Right.
there are people that are getting out of college now that are so fired up. They're looking to the future, and they've got these ideas, and they say things like, "Hey, in 10 years from now, this is going to happen." And when you get older, you say, "Ah, I don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, right, right, right,
We've
right.
been doing it this way for 50 years. It's never going to change." But all you have to do is look back at, I remember in 2001, I started flight school in the United States Navy, and I got my first cell phone, right?
Mm,
And I was just shocked, that, hey, I had this ability to call
mhm,
anywhere, anytime. Then fast forward 6 years later, 7 years later, and the first iPhone comes out,
mhm.
and it was just, I mean, the increase in technology, it's exponential right now,
Yeah, yeah.
and we need people who have the ability to take a step back, and who are touching technology right now that's being developed in the universities and so on. Um, to look and see where that's going to be 5 or 10 years from now.
Mhm,
Because at my level, very, very often, I'm not looking to the future in that way.
mhm.
And I have to. So when it comes to building a team, I use that as just one example, because in my previous company, I won't talk about this company, but I had numerous people that worked with me and for me
Mhm.
who were in their 70s,
Yeah.
phenomenal
Mhm.
engineers and technicians who knew more than I could possibly ever dream. And they were the people that you would pick up the phone and say, "I've never heard of this, never seen this before." And the response would be, "Oh, we did that back in '97 on this project. I think I have the drawing somewhere." So you need the depth in your team with the experience, because there's no substitute for the experience, right?
Right.
So we've talked about the bottom half of the team, we've talked about the top half of the team, and then we need a little bit of everything in between. And I'll tell you why. One of the best sales guys that I ever met, no college education, and was, I think that they had started at the university as an art major and then dropped out, right? That was their thing. And that person, they could pick up any engineering idea that you explained to them. They were a whiz with Excel and putting together, value propositions, and for customers. And just the person could do anything. So the reason I bring that up is, you have to, don't judge a book by its cover. The team needs to be made up of enough diversity to where collectively together they can do more than individuals. And very often leaders get into certain positions. Yes, how my thinking has changed, how my leadership has changed. If you'd asked me 15 years ago, what makes the best pilot, right, for what I was doing back then, I'd say just find another me. That's what you got
Mm,
to do. And now, fast forward 15 years later, that's absolutely the wrong answer. I'm not
mhm.
looking for myself anymore. I'm looking for somebody who can challenge themselves and also bring to the table challenges for what they think could be done better, and how they could put their idea out. And obviously, we want people that are respectful and have the ability to communicate and not get into arguments. Sometimes you need those arguments as well, but you need a team that is diverse enough that can really move the ball down the field. And if you can find the right people, you recruit the right people, and you put the right team together, then they're doing something because they want to. They're trying to grow the business, the industry, whatever it is, because they believe in the team, right? If you listen to Simon Sinek, he'd say, they do what they do because they believe in what they do, right?
Mhm.
And those are the types of people I want on a team that are going to be working with me. And I don't say for me, because at the end of the day, the person at the top, they're working for the team, not the other way around. The team is working for the company. So my job would be to say to the team, this is what needs to happen. This is what our target is and where we're going. Now you tell me what you need from me so that you can make that happen.
Oh,
And as a
fantastic.
result,
Yeah.
I'm working for them. So long-winded there, but that's my idea of what makes a really, really good team, and who you should be looking for to recruit to put on that team. Don't look for yourself, because you're going to get the same result if you do that. Um, and maybe a poor result. But if you find enough diversity on the team with enough different skill sets, man, you can move mountains if you do that.
I think what I just heard is if you hire the people that are in love with the vision, you can help them find the path to a fantastic outcome.
Absolutely. I concur with that 100%.
Fantastic. All right. So we've done a lot of stuff. We've covered a lot of ground. This has been absolutely fantastic. For those who are watching, I highly encourage you go back and look at this because there's a couple of really, really powerful nuggets in here. A couple of really great insights, and they matter whether your business is B2B or B2C. They all translate one way or another. So as we wrap up, let's do a couple of rapid fire questions, quick top of the head kind of answers. What would you say is your key to success?
Family.
Good. If you met somebody this afternoon who was just getting ready to go into business, him for himself or herself, what one piece of advice would you give that person?
Get a mentor. Find a mentor.
Awesome. Awesome. What's one book you are reading now or have read recently that you found highly impactful?
Okay, so the book is The Same as Ever by Morgan Housel.
Mm-hmm.
The insights that I've gotten out of this book, I mean, it's not often where you write in the margins and you, you underline things in a book, but this book has really captured me, and I think it's fantastic. And I think any business leader, actually not even a business leader, right? We're all leaders.
Mm-hmm.
That term is too loosely used to only a certain type of management, right?
Mm-hmm.
But leadership, you can lead anywhere in any position in a company. But for any leader,
Mm-hmm.
this book is eye opening, and I would recommend it. It's
Awesome.
really opened my eyes.
Awesome. That's fantastic. If you had to choose one area of your business you could immediately improve tomorrow, what would it be?
Communication.
Good one. Good one. What's most inspiring to you today?
That is a tough one. I want to go back to my family,
Mm-hmm.
but and they're really inspiring to me. My wife, my son, my daughter, just phenomenal people. But
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to keep it into the realm of business, and that is somebody who has vision and integrity, and that's I know I'm not giving you the answer you're looking for, but I can follow somebody even if I'm the leader, I can follow somebody who has vision and integrity,
Mm-hmm.
because I know that their heart is into doing what they're doing and doing it the best that they can for a positive outcome for all. And when you do that, then everybody wins. It's the whole idea of distributive negotiation.
Mm-hmm.
The pie gets bigger for everybody, and if you
Mm-hmm.
find that person who has vision and integrity, they can take you to the moon. They really can.
No,
And
I
they're
think that's a fantastic answer. Awesome. Awesome. All right. So last question. How can others learn more about you or your company, and how can they get in contact?
Well, they can always reach out to me on my at my email, which
Mm-hmm.
is my first name, Matthew,
Mm-hmm.
Matthew Pescador, which is my
Mm-hmm.
last name, Pescador
Mm-hmm.
at Alkus. That's ALKUS.com.
Mm-hmm.
And you can also look up alkus.com on the World Wide Web and look at the website and see what it is that we do. What's our magic sauce? And then we also have a landing page on LinkedIn, and we have a YouTube channel as well. Although I don't have those readily available, but if you type in Alkus ALKUS space AG on YouTube or LinkedIn, all of those different feeds will come up so that you can peruse them and see what it is that we're doing.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Matt, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing all of the insights about what you're doing. This has been wonderful.
I feel the same way. My pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for the opportunity to have the discussion.